All right. All
Tick
right.
tock, tick tock, time to rock. Merry Christmas to all the Christians and Muslims and Jews and atheists and agnostics and Hindus and Buddhists. I'm here with my friend, the Apostate Prophet. AP, how you doing?
Good, good. How are you?
Good. Merry Christmas, AP.
Merry Christmas, David. Merry
Oh,
Christmas, everybody.
see, we didn't plan that. I was testing him because
Oh, happy
no,
holidays.
yeah.
Sorry.
I was there was an episode of 30 Rock when there's a there's Alec Baldwin's character, and he plays this super conservative dude, and he's sending out his Christmas cards with his wife or fiance or whatever, and the Christmas card on the front it says Happy Holidays, and then you open it up and it says is what terrorists say, Merry Christmas, and
Wow.
so that's cool. No, but was just testing the Merry Christmas waters because I've been having some interesting discussions lately. Of course, there are Christians who think that like Christmas is like the worst thing ever, and it's paganism. I was live with Mike Jones from Inspiring Philosophy the other day. This guy is this guy's done some really really insane research into a topic it would never occur to me to research much at all. But I mean, he would have entire books on like the origin of mistletoe and stuff like that. And so it's
Really?
yeah, Yule logs and stuff. I'm like, how are there entire books on this stuff? Anyway, so he did a bunch of research, and we basically gave people 2 hours to show us that these stories about the pagan origins are true. And I noticed something because I didn't have much of a position, right? I've never studied it. But I was looking at the chat, and they would be, yes, Christmas is pagan. It came from the Assyrians. Yes. And I would look at the next comment. Yes, it's pagan. It came from the Babylonians. I would look at the next one. Yes, it's pagan. It came from the Egyptians. I would look at the next one. Yes, it's pagan. It came from Norse mythology. Yes. It's like, wait a minute. Some of you guys got to be wrong here. And basically, we gave people the entire program to actually back up. Like here is an ancient source saying that this was a practice with Christmas trees and so on. Every one of them got shot down. At the end of the day, the only thing that could legitimately be defended was that pagans did have the practice of giving gifts on holidays. So that was it. That was gift giving is pagan.
Uh-huh.
That was the closest thing anyone could get to arguing that Christmas is pagan. Anyway, point was we got that. We've got we've got Christians who are mad at Christmas, but we also have, believe it or not, Muslims who don't like Christmas for various reasons.
How could that be?
Yeah, and so I didn't know where you would stand, but I suspected you'd be fine with Merry Christmas, and you didn't disappoint.
Yeah, I don't know. It is kind of problematic. I feel offended when I hear the words Merry Christmas. I feel like my blood starts boiling and I don't know what to do. But then I just accept it and I go along with it, and I think there is nothing I can really do to stop this, and I just go along and respond with Merry Christmas. That's what I do. That's what I do in life. That's how it usually works. Yeah.
That's why you are a very very easily offended guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You even got upset when some Muslims started making up some nonsense about you supporting incest or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You even got upset at that. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
How
Yeah. Yeah.
how thin is your skin?
I'm very thin-skinned. I'm very thin-skinned. It might look like this, but
But it's
but I'm
actually
very.
really thin.
It's actually very very thin. Everything gets through very easily. People say that I had endorsed incest, that I am for incest, that I support incest, that I think incest is an amazing thing to do,
Hmm.
and I just get offended over that. I really don't know what's going on
Yeah,
with me lately.
yeah. You gotta see a counselor or something.
Yeah, yeah. I get death threats, and I'm like, I get offended about that. I have no idea why.
Anyway, I see some boom squatters, some boom squad members over there in the chat. Hindu historian, how you doing?
What's up, Boom Squad?
What's up, boom squad?
I'm
Let's
I'm
see.
in the Boom Squad too.
Oh yeah, you are.
Yeah, I
We
have that
got
thing, the
we
green
got
thing.
Hindu historian. We got Cheryl R. We got Don DBB. We got Revolution Renaissance. We got Connor Terrell. We got Eric. And there's Apostate Prophet. Sup, Daj Mitch. All right. What are you laughing
What,
at?
what is that?
Huh?
I just saw a comment. It says, "I'm not into incest, but $20 is $20." What is that supposed to mean? I'm trying to.
It's
Anyways,
funny because I was just about to say we got standards and practices. Who's the person on the boom squad? But that fit. That fit with exactly what you're saying. I said we got standards. We got standards. All right, everyone. Well, right now we are going to take a look at some video clips of Muslims giving different perspectives on the question of whether it's okay to wish Merry Christmas. Now, I personally do not care much whether, if I were a Muslim, I would probably not be wishing people Merry Christmas. So, given what Muslims believe, if you don't like saying Merry Christmas, there are people who will lose their minds over there. How dare you not say Merry Christmas or something like that? No, I think that's silly. But in going through some of the comments by Muslim scholars and apologists and lecturers in their videos, you start seeing kind of different Muslim approaches towards how they interact with others and towards how they understand various things, and also how they end up condemning each other to hell sometimes. So this is a little interesting. What was your perspective, AP, when you were a Muslim? Were you because you used to live in Germany? So
yeah, yeah.
was it like, did you care at all? Did you wish people Merry Christmas, or were you like a no, that's a Ram guy?
Well, it was a problematic thing. It was, when I was in Germany, I wasn't really that strict into the Islamic position. I was just a Muslim, and I would witness what my parents say about it. I would learn what they say about it, what the elders, what people around me say, and the position generally was, which I also accepted at that young age, that saying Merry Christmas is haram, that it is forbidden, that it is evil, that it's bad, that it is basically hellfire. Because what I learned was that celebrating the occasions, the holidays of the infidel, the kafir, means being one of them. It is based on several Quran verses and several hadith, which are about whoever imitates the infidel is one of them, and whoever celebrates their holidays is one of them. So what we were taught was basically, if we celebrate Christmas, and if we celebrate together with them, if we do things that they do on Christmas, then we are one of them, which is a very terrible thing in Islam. That means basically that you're buying a ticket to hell, and especially if you are aware of that and you do it anyways, that is a huge major offense. Especially later in my life, when I became very religious, I adopted that position very much. So it was totally a no-go for me to say Merry Christmas or anything alike.
Yeah, and that's because we're going to be looking at. I think I pulled up some clips from four different Muslim speakers, but that's basically the position of Zakir Naik. Zakir Naik's position is, yeah, maybe if you don't know, you'll be okay. Maybe if you don't know what you're doing, you might be okay. Allah might forgive you. But if you know, boy, you are in trouble. So yeah, we're gonna take a look at a couple of those. So basically, guys, what we're gonna do, we also want to, it's Christmas time. It's Christmas time, so we want to be kind of laid back here. So we'll be taking questions and comments throughout this program. We'll probably watch a couple of video clips. Because for some of them I have a couple. So I have a couple from Shabir Ali, a couple from Yasser Qadi, a couple from Zakir Naik. We'll look at a couple different clips, and then just take it slow. We'll read through some comments, then look at a couple more video clips and hang out for a little while. All right, but first, shout out to Stud Muffin. Stud Muffin. I don't know how you took my name. Stud Muffin and Andrew Martin, who are both now on the Boom Squad. It's cool the way that YouTube set this up, where you can see people who are signing up for
Yeah, that's awesome.
memberships right there. By the way, AP, you got the notification. You're eligible for channel memberships, and there are people like me who believe it's actually good, given what YouTube put in its recent in its recent terms of service, saying that they can ban channels for being not financially viable. There are people like me who think it's good to have those channel memberships so that they can
Yeah.
never use that as an excuse for blocking you for some other reason. Because, guys, keep in mind, YouTube's official position before the government is that they're a platform, not a publisher, meaning that they're supposed to be pretty neutral, right? People think, oh, no, it's a business. They can do whatever they want. No. There are businesses that can do what they want. YouTube is not one of them, because YouTube's defense in court, if someone tries to sue them, is we're not a publisher. We're not deciding what content goes here. We're just a platform that we allow other people to post their content. So they can have certain community standards, like not posting pornography or something like that. They can have rules like that they apply across the board. But if they are actually taking sides on political issues or something, that could get them in. That could get their status into trouble. So what these sites are doing, because notice that's the case with Facebook, that's the case with Twitter, that's the case with YouTube, that's the case with all these platforms. They're supposed to be politically pretty neutral, but you see them all taking sides on various issues. And so what they apparently are trying to do is have other things in their terms of service that they can use, so that if they have to block you or block your content or destroy your channel, they can say, oh, no, it wasn't because of that thing that he said that upset a lot of people. It's because of this right here. Oh, yeah, his channel just wasn't making us enough money, so we canceled his channel. Well, notice, you're not canceling anyone else's channel using it.
Yeah.
So it just seems to be making up excuses. Anyway, the way around stuff like that is to basically take precautions. So, hey, Pete, hopefully you get those up pretty soon.
Yeah. I find it great that they actually gave us.
I got a weird sound coming out of my headphones here. Does anyone hear a weird sound right now, or is that just my headphones?
Weird sound? Anyone? Weird sound? Let us know if you hear a weird sound. If you lost a weird sound. If you're looking for a weird sound, tell us. Weird sound. Weird sound. Weird
what
sound.
What are they saying?
I don't know.
I'm fine with having that in my earphones as long as other people don't hear it.
Weird sound. Is anyone looking for a weird sound?
There's a slight delay, but I'm getting like a beeping and rattling in my headphones here.
Nope.
Okay, they're saying no.
Just
okay.
you.
Okay, so it's just me. All right, That is very, very weird. Oh, you're
hearing sounds, David.
You and I were having problems with Skype, so maybe we just got a crap Skype connection this time.
Yeah. I thought your sound was noisy, but whatever. It was just. Anyways.
All right. Anything to add before we start off with a video clip?
It is a great thing that YouTube actually decided to give us these features to actually activate memberships for our channels. I didn't expect that. I thought I was never going to get that.
Oh, I just found out what the problem was. Just sorry. I'm laughing because I have this keyboard here, and my laptop. I use my laptop as a secondary monitor, but the laptop was on the keys, so it's pressing the keys over and over again, and it was making the sound of just keys being punched.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Problem solved. I was freaking out about that. I didn't like. I don't like technical problems that I can't solve, right in the middle of a live stream when there's nothing I can do.
I lose it when it happens. It's very tough.
Yeah, it's no fun.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
I'm currently getting the thing ready. I'm currently getting memberships ready. I'm getting some badges and some emojis made. There will be some very nice emojis for memberships on my channel. But once all of that is ready, I'll start memberships too, and then I'll have like weekly talks with everyone who chooses to become a member. But yeah, that's basically it.
No, that's cool. That's cool because yeah, I didn't think I'd last a week with channel memberships. I thought it was because they sent it out to a bunch of people who had a certain number of subscribers all at the same time. So I'm thinking, oh, it's just kind of a fluke that I got it too. But as soon as especially when I'm posting my emojis, my Muhammad emojis, I'm thinking there's no way I'm going to last. But so far I've been up almost a month. If I could make it a month, that would be hilarious.
Yeah. That's awesome.
All right.
All right, fantastic. Some people ask why I move so much. That is because I have for those who have missed it, or for those who can't make the correlation here, I had anxiety issues throughout the year of 2019. We're in 2019, right? Yeah, I've had anxiety issues, and those anxiety issues kind of gave me these symptoms where I have to move around, or it just makes me feel like I'm freaking out or whatever. So especially if we start a live chat, I usually have anxiety in the first 10-15 minutes, and I often do these things where I scratch my back for no reason at all. It's these are all anxiety things.
Well,
So
yeah, I mean, see, anxiety serves a purpose, right? It
yeah,
energizes you, right? Your body's telling you something's wrong, and it's getting you ready to do something. The problem with
yeah,
anxiety is it's basically it's a kind of a normal biological process, but it's out of whack, right? Like
yeah,
you're
yeah,
supposed. It's good for your body to get that jolt of energy and nervousness if you're in a dangerous situation. You know, it's called the fight or flight mechanism, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
You get a burst of energy, so you can either run or you can fight if you need to.
yeah.
The problem with anxiety is it's out of whack. Like I have a problem with my ears, and that they will turn bright red at just completely random times. And I looked it up, and it's basically it's a signal misfiring telling my telling my nerves that it's extremely cold out when it's
Yeah.
not, and so they'll just turn bright. It it's only been a couple times when I've been like speaking or something, and people are making fun of my ears because they turn bright red. But yep, it does happen. It's annoying, and I have to explain. Oh, this it's actually a biological condition.
That
All
is
right,
interesting.
so thanks to Record Hispanarium Rex for the super chat. So thank you for your work, guys. God bless you both. Please note, Israel and Mossad don't have anything to do with this payment. Well, guess what? That's exactly what we would expect Mossad to say, right?
Yeah.
They're not going to come right out and say, hey, we're Mossad. So nice try. Nice try, Mossad. Revolution Renaissance says AP and Wood too. Come to Europe and start presentations. We can go snowboarding to the mountains or dive, set up bases, recruit people, be mainstream. AP, I briefly mentioned to you that we're having a conference of Christian YouTubers here pretty soon, but we might want to eventually have like a conference of like counter jihad or people who respond to Islam YouTubers, Christians and atheists and anyone else who ex-Muslims. I guess ex-Muslims probably already have conferences, right?
Yeah, they have. I don't know. I'm kind of. I said this before. I should say this more often to them. Maybe they are kind of. They are a different kind of active. Their activities and conferences are mostly based on ex-Muslims helping each other and being aware of each other, forming a community because they often feel alone and stuff like that. I think there is a lack of ex-Muslims going out and criticizing Islam.
Yeah.
It needs to be done. I always want to work toward that direction and do something, but yeah,
It
if I
is,
could just do all the things that I have on my mind.
It is awesome. It is awesome what's happening. I've told you before. I mean, when Nabil became a Christian, it was rare to hear from ex-Muslims who are actually out there criticizing Islam. I mean, there were a couple of them, right? And now they're kind of everywhere. So it's pretty awesome. All right, let's get a shout out to Kathy Martin, who joined the Boom Squad. Boom Squatters everywhere. And Boom Squad gets perks. I've been giving them the Boom Boom Room episode, the one I released. They got it early. All right. Quick question, just from Muslim here. Who I think I should read a comment from Muslim that he posted earlier because it's got to be in record books of like how angry and offensive he was trying to be. But he said, just quick comment, just because it's so easy to respond to. Answer me if you can defend your religion. How does abortion become wrong when your God human sacrifices its child? Guess what?
Oh my God.
Muslim. Jesus was not a child when he died on the cross. He was in his 30s. All right, so he's not a child. If you don't know that level of basicness, then you should go. You and I, we respond to Islam a bunch, but we also study it a bunch.
Yeah.
Other people, they don't study anything, and they just keep blasting away at it, and then they end up sounding completely silly. All right,
Yeah.
let's go.
I think it also has to do with a cultural thing where in Middle Eastern cultures, the word for your son or daughter is often interchangeably used with the word child, much more so than in Western culture, which is why in those cultures people often view son or daughter as just child,
Mm-hmm.
which is why he equates killing a child to killing your son.
Mm.
I think that's kind of where
It's
this
like killing a
person,
baby.
Muslim is coming from. Yeah.
Yeah, the other a couple other issues there, Muslim, because I could go on. I mean, there's no end to the silliness of your comments. Um, Jesus did so willingly, right? A a baby is not willingly, laying down its life for others, right? So, oh, hang on. Okay, okay. Here's a comment by Muslim that he left. I thought that was the same guy. Just so you understand what kind of guy you're dealing with here. He says, "Your God begot a bastard, and human sacrificed its child." Oh, this is definitely the same guy, because I was thinking maybe it's a different guy who goes by Muslim, but notice he's along the same lines, right? A weird obsession. Your God begot a bastard, and human sacrificed its child as itself in your pagan death cult. Reminds me of family murder, like how you hammered your drunkard pagan father from behind until he cursed your offspring, and you got two drooling, handicapped, ugly, deformed kids, David Wood. How does it become wrong when your pagan god human sacrificed its own bastard child onto a pagan cross? Surely you have a great example to imitate there. Well, yeah,
Yeah,
I've got
I
my good example to imitate, but you certainly imitate your example, Muhammad.
you're a fantastic human being, Muslim.
Yeah.
You're a wonderful, fantastic human being. Thank you for showing to everyone what kind of an amazing person comes out to defend Islam. Typically, you're not disappointing at all. You no disappointment to the regular rule that we always over and over observe, where Muslims come out and defend Islam in such a terrible, with such terrible personalities. You are a piece of filth, you moron.
Hey. Well,
Ah,
let's be nice. You got to understand he's raised to take Muhammad as his moral example, and this is this, and Muhammad's companion. So you've got Abu Bakr, who told a pagan, go suck Allah's clitoris, right? Allah was a goddess that the guy believed in. He said, basically, go perform oral sex on
yeah,
your
yeah.
goddess. And then Muhammad said, hey, if you want to brag about your lineage, you tell them go bite their father's penis and stuff like that. And so this is how these guys would talk to people, and shouldn't be a surprise guys like guys like our good friend here. With that said,
Yeah, sorry, I lose my temper easily with these people, but I just have no patience for that at all. It's disgusting. Ah.
all right, one more comment here, because this is actually a good question. He says, how does Islam promote lone wolf terrorist attacks? I know that jihad is prescribed through an organized Islamic state, but what about lone attacks? You have any comments on that?
I don't even get the point.
Oh, he's basically saying, because there are people like Robert Spencer, who points out that um, in sort of the dominant Islamic position over the centuries, it's been that only the caliph can call for offensive jihad. But Medhead, even if you look at Spencer's what Spencer has pointed out about Islamic thinking on these topics over the years, you have offensive jihad and defensive jihad. The idea is defensive jihad, you're allowed to do that anytime. And that's why groups like Al Qaeda are always very careful to point out, we are attacking you here because of this thing that you did. They're not claiming to be the caliphate or something like that. That's not what Al Qaeda did. ISIS did that, right? But ISIS could actually go out and wage offensive jihad, going out and subjugating an area. And they don't have to say, we're subjugating you because of this thing you did or something like that. We're subjugating you because you're not Muslims, right? They
Uh-huh.
believe they could do that because they were a caliphate, and the caliphate can call for offensive jihad. And Muslims who believe that that is the caliphate are, according to Muslim sources, obligated to obey their leader. But when it comes to defensive jihad, if someone has done something to the Muslim community, you have commands to go ahead and do something back to them. So, Medhead, the idea that is behind a lone wolf terrorist attack is, if the idea of a lone wolf is, he believes that this place, this country, or this group, or this leader, or whatever, has done something to attack the Muslim community, and therefore he is allowed, according to Islam, to retaliate, right? And you don't have to get that command. You don't have to get that command from from a caliph or something like that. So you have lone wolves, and then you have groups like Al Qaeda, and then you have something like a caliphate or a Muslim nation or something like that. But they can wage jihad in different ways.
Well, I think let's set something straight. I mean, we don't always have to make a well argumented, sophisticated explanation to why a random person who happens to be a religious Muslim goes out and kills people. And they don't necessarily do that because they completely fit into the picture of the perfect Muslim, of the perfect individual who follows Islam word for word and step for step. It's we don't have to make that explanation. It is very simple that many individuals in America, in the West, here and there, go out and commit these acts, commit acts of violence, commit acts of terrorism. And when they commit these acts of terrorism, they don't, they might not be completely in alignment with what Islam teaches. They might, you could even accept an Islamic apologist's argument when they say, well, this person did not fully act in accordance with Islamic teachings. Okay, that's all right. He might not have acted in accordance with Islamic teachings completely, but that's not the point. That's not. No one is claiming that a terrorist, that a lone wolf, that a murderer, that a disgusting human who goes out and kills 50 people is a perfect Muslim. What people are pointing out is that this person, it was influenced or heavily influenced by Islam in carrying out the attack that this person carried out. No one is claiming that he was the perfect Muslim, the perfect Islamist. We're just pointing out that he was influenced, that he was motivated by Islamic scripture, by Islamic sentiments, and that is simply true. I mean, those people, for example, that guy who was himself gay in Florida and who went out and massacred people in a gay club, or I think that's what it was, right?
Yeah.
If I'm not completely wrong on the matter. He was definitely not a perfect Muslim, and he didn't completely follow the rules of Islam in the most amazing and most perfect way. But he was inspired by the Islamic religion, by the hatefulness and by the readiness to be brutal and to be aggressive by Islamic scripture. He was inspired by that, motivated by that, to go out and carry out his massacre, and that is the entire point. I don't know if this is clear enough. It is not about whether this is in complete accordance with Islam. It's that Islam influences people with its hatefulness, with its praising of Islamic warriors, of Islamic jihad, to go out and commit acts of violence.
Yeah. So let me see if I can put the points together. So basically, under Islam, under the rulings of Islam, the commands that have been handed down by Muslim scholars, there is a trend in Islam that only the Muslim ruler, the caliph, should be able to call for offensive jihad in terms of going out and subjugating areas and so on. And so that would have to be someone like ISIS. Defensive
Right.
jihad, pretty much anyone can do it if someone has done something, and if someone has done something to the Muslim community and you're in a position to do something about it, you're allowed to do it. But I think what AP is pointing out is that doesn't mean that any of that has to be in a Muslim's head. He doesn't have to be thinking, oh, well, I'm allowed to wage defensive jihad because of these verses. He could just be raised to believe that jihad against the infidels is fine. And he's not thinking in terms of, hey, what are the passages that justify this, or how can I defend this? It's just, what are you talking about? This is something cool that we do. We go out and we launch terrorist attacks. And especially what you pointed out about certain guys not being very good Muslims, because we hear this after lots of attacks. Oh, he wasn't he was going to clubs and stuff like that, or something like that, and people saying, so he wasn't a very serious Muslim. No, you can believe seriously and understand that you haven't been living up to Islam, but that actually helps promote the jihad, because then someone tells you, hey, you're right. You're going to stand before Allah and you've done all this stuff, and you're probably going to do a lot more, and you don't know where you're going. You don't have any guarantees unless you die while waging a jihad, a terrorist attack, and then you're good as gold with Allah. And so it actually ends up, their shortcomings as Muslims actually become incentive for them to go out and die in a terrorist attack, because it's the only way they can have assurance of where they're going.
Absolutely. This came up recently in a talk that I had with Yasmin Mohammed. We were talking about the same issue about sinful people, sinful Muslim Islamist people who go out and carry out acts of violence and acts of terrorism. These people might not be perfect Muslims, but especially if these people are sinful people, and if these people also learned, just like almost every Muslim out there, like every other Muslim out there, learned throughout their lives that Muhammad and his followers and the Islamic warriors lived and died for Allah, and that they fought for Allah, that they had courage without any limit, and that this is what made them great, that fighting for Allah is what they lived for, then a sinful person living in America who looks at his life and who thinks I am such an awful person, I am not living up to the standards of a Muslim, of what Allah demands of me, I have committed these sins and that sin and whatever. That person thinks that person thinks, if I go out there and if I commit an act of violence against these dirty infidels out there who spread the evil that I have been committing by committing sins, then this might be my absolution. This might be what Allah forgives me for, because Allah sees the goodness in my act of ending societal perversion and corruption, in ending the lives of dirty infidels. This is what the terrorist thinks, and he goes out there and he wants to be like the heroes, the Islamic warriors that he has learned about throughout his entire life. That's what he does. That's what the sinful Islamist does. And when the sinful Islamist goes out and kills people in the name of Islam, he still does it in the name of Islam. He still does it because he was influenced by Islam. He still does it because he was brought up with the idea that you should live and die for Allah. And by Islamic standard, this person is not considered a non-Muslim. This person is still considered a Muslim, and would still eventually would still eventually stand before Allah, and would probably be forgiven for his act, and would be a part of the Islamic community, because that's what because it is completely part of Islam to do that.
Yep. All right, now, sucks. I have to ban Muslim now. Shout out to Tatiana J for joining the Boom Squad, but Muslim. It's weird. I'm fine with people insulting me. Now he's blasting you. He said, he called you Quasimodo-looking incestuous degenerate. Apparently he follows Ali Dawa. That's where he learns to act like this. Quasimodo-looking incestuous degenerate, don't you want to fornicate with your father?
Yeah, sure.
Recite the Tashahhud and prove you were a Muslim. All right. Well, if you're talking to guests like that, you gotta
Muslim. The sad thing is that you might be a terrible person because you were taught you were taught Islamic morals. You might be an awful person, but the thing is that deep inside you are probably a much better person than what your religion has taught you, and I hope you understand that one day.
Yeah, and that's really true. That we have. I mean, I've met some awesome Muslims in my life, and the one thing about them is they all live massively better lives than their religion calls them to live, and they all live massively better lives than their prophet and his companions lived. And even someone like Muslim here, who's using horrible language and attacking people and blah blah blah, incestuous blah blah blah, still I would much rather have him for a neighbor than Muhammad, right?
Yeah.
So all right.
So,
Go ahead.
What is that even about? He wants me to recite the Shahada, the Islamic creed, which makes you a Muslim, in order to prove that I was a Muslim.
No. Oh boy.
Oh,
all right.
Well,
let's go ahead and get into some of these video clips. So if you want to get your you're going to be listening with all the rest of us on a delay here. But who should we start off with? Well, after seeing these clips after seeing the comments by Muslim, I'm thinking we'll go with Shabir Ali, just because Shabir Ali is a nice guy. You don't want to think that all Muslims are like this guy Muslim, or that all Muslims are like Muhammad. There are some very, very nice Muslims out there, and here's some. We'll go ahead and watch them. Play one, comment on it briefly. Play another one, comment on it briefly. Play another one. These are short clips by Shabir Ali answering the question: is it okay to wish Christians Merry Christmas? So here's the first one.
Dr. Shabir, our question today is about wishing well to people of other faiths when they have religious holidays, whether it be Christmas or a Jewish or Hindu holiday, whatever it might be. Is it okay for a Muslim to wish people well on those occasions?
Yeah, the simple answer to that is yes. Controversy arises over this question partly because one of our great scholars from the medieval period, Ibn Taymiyyah, gave a ruling against this. But we have to understand that he lived in a time just after the Crusades. And in that era, Muslims and Christians were not in good relations with each other. People wouldn't be expected to greet each other. If the Muslims were to greet the Christians on their holiday, one might wonder, does this Muslim feel like selling out on his religion and his community? So we have to understand that context.
All right, so that's Shabir. AP will be still listening to it for a few seconds due to the delay. But notice what Shabir said there. He's going to say more. But he's basically attributing the problem of Muslims refusing to wish people well on their holidays. He's just saying this is from a time when Christians and Muslims were at war, and so that's where this idea came from. And so I'm pointing this out because again we're going to have a few more words by Shabir, and you guys can tell us what you think over there in the comments. But basically, Shabir is attributing, this problem or hostility towards wishing people Merry Christmas. Again, I pointed out, if you're just tuning in, I don't really care whether I wouldn't expect a Muslim to wish me Merry Christmas. I wouldn't ask him. I wouldn't think that a Muslim should wish me Merry Christmas. We're looking at these clips because we're going to see some very different approaches in Islamic thought when it comes to these things, and what happens because of these differences that these Muslim scholars have. AP, what'd you think about Shabir there?
Well, he has a very unorthodox position, of course, as always. I would say, I don't know. I kind of there is a thing. I missed a part of it because I have to listen in while it's late.
Yeah, he basically said we'll probably go through the three clips and then just basically settle on Shabir's position, which is he's going to be kind of the nicest and most liberal in his thinking on this issue, and then we're going to have Sheikh Yasser Qadi, and he would kind of be next, and then we'll start getting into like Zakir Naik and stuff like that, and they're going to have a very, very different view. But Shabir was just saying that this hostility is from a bygone era, and so why I find this interesting is other Muslims that we're going to be looking at are interpreting Merry Christmas as a violation, or as you're committing shirk, right? You're committing shirk by doing this. Whereas Shabir is just thinking of it in terms of, guys, we're hostile because we used to fight, but now it's not as much of a problem. So yeah, we should probably just go ahead and go through these other two clips. So I'll go ahead and play this clip, then I'll just sort of review very quickly the takeaway from that clip, and then we'll get to the last clip, which is Shabir's going to basically he's going to say it's fine to wish people Merry Christmas. All right, so next clip from the nicest Muslim speaker on this video list, Shabir Ali, guy I've debated 9 times. Here we go.
Plus, a lot of things have been interpreted in the classical period in a fashion which does not take into consideration the realities of our life today. The realities of our life today is that we live largely in democratic societies in which people have learned to live with each other. They live in harmony and they wish each other good on occasions, well, all of the time, and especially verbally on special occasions. So non-Muslims would greet Muslims on the day of Eid. Politicians will come into the Muslim mosques, especially to deliver in person the greeting of Eid. Now, in doing so, one is not saying, I agree with your religion. They're just saying, I recognize you as fellow human beings. We have special days. You also have special days. We know that this is a happy day for you. We want God to multiply your happiness on this day, which is so special to you. We're happy that you are happy. So a similar attitude should be what governs the Muslim behavior as well. Well, we know that other people are happy on their special day, and we want God to increase their happiness. There's nothing wrong with that.
All right, so Shabir here, he compares politicians or other people wishing Muslims well on their holiday. So if you were talking to a Muslim friend and you said, "Hey, happy Ramadan," he's pointing. It's not affirming your religion. It's saying, "Hey, you're a person. I have respect for you as a person, and so I'm just I disagree with you, but I want you to be happy," or something like that. And he's pointing out you're not affirming their religion, and so he's drawing the comparison here that if you're a Muslim and you say Merry Christmas, which is, by the way, this is part of the reason that you're going to have disputes over something like this, is you say Merry Christmas. Being merry just means like being happy and joyful on Christmas. And so you're not saying, "Hey, I agree with you that Jesus Christ is the only begotten Son who entered creation on December 25th," and things like that. You're not, you don't. He's pointing out you don't have to be saying all of that. You can just be saying, "Hey, I want you to be happy." All right. So, did you have a comment before we play the last clip?
Yeah, the thing is, Shabir Ali makes a lot of sense here,
Mm-hmm.
but the problem is that Islam is not supposed to make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Islam is not supposed to make sense in the way that Shabir Ali makes sense here. He says it was different back then. There were hostilities and people weren't living together, weren't mixed. They were separated, and that was the holiday of the enemy and whatever. And today we live in democratic societies and we have diversity and all that stuff. But that's not really how it was meant to be, according to Islamic sources, according to the Quran and according to Muhammad's words. This is not really how it was meant to be. According to them, it was Islam was supposed to dominate these the different cultures of this world and was supposed to subjugate them.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just what I want to add to that. Something to think about.
Mm-hmm. Little side note here before we watch this last clip from Shabir. Tatiana says, "My Muslim colleague thinks I should respect Muhammad because he respects Jesus." Right? Yeah, I have a video where I sort of address this, Tatiana. It's called "I Believe in Muhammad." So go ahead and search on my channel for "I Believe in Muhammad." Or if you just type into the search engine, David Wood, "I Believe in Muhammad" or something like that, the video should pop up. But basically, I say I believe in Muhammad, but you know what? I believe that he was a devout Christian who believed that Jesus died on the cross for sins and rose from the dead, and he believed that Jesus is Lord. But later, followers of his corrupted his message and then changed it into what we now think of as Islam. So what we now think of as Muhammad just wasn't Muhammad at all. The real Muhammad was a devout Christian, and I believe in that devout Christian Muhammad, and I believe, so I respect him. So you have to respect my views here. A Muslim's not going to think of that as respecting Muhammad, to say that the entire history of Muhammad has been corrupted and that Muhammad was a devout Christian. So hopefully you can use that, and once he understands that, then you can say, so from my perspective, you're not really respecting Jesus. In fact, you could point out that, according to Islam, if you actually dig below the surface, Jesus turns out to be the most epic failure in history, right? He's born of a virgin. He has the most miraculous life in history. He's the Messiah. But think about this, Muslims, and you Muslims can comment, what did Jesus actually get done? What did he accomplish? You could say he won some followers, but guess what? Those followers all fell away, and they couldn't stand up against the mighty Apostle Paul. And so the message was corrupted. And it wasn't just Paul corrupting it, it was Allah himself corrupting it, because he tricked and deceived people into believing that Jesus died on the cross, which led to belief that Jesus died on the cross for sins. And so basically, after Jesus was gone, you had two kinds of people. You had people who were bowing down and worshiping him as their savior. They're going to hell according to Islam. And you had people who were rejecting him. They didn't believe in him. And so they're going to hell according to Islam. So basically the result of all Jesus' work was that everyone's going to hell. The only thing Muslims can tell me that Jesus actually accomplished, according to Islam, was that he proclaimed that Muhammad was coming. And he didn't do a very good job of that because they can't even find the records, and that even those records have been corrupted, right? So if you're when Muslims, it's just amusing for Muslims to say we respect Jesus when everything they say about Jesus is actually an insult.
Yeah, I made a video about that too, which I called "Muslims Love Jesus So Much."
Yeah,
with a heart.
They sure do. All right, let's check out this last Shabir clip where he's going to give his official ruling, which, sadly, as we're going to see, is going to, according to people like Zakir Naik, this is the sort of thing that will get Shabir Ali sent to hell. So this is why we're bringing this up. Again, I don't care if someone wishes Merry Christmas or not. I don't care if a Christian wishes me Merry Christmas. I don't care if an atheist does, a Muslim does. Totally irrelevant to me. You can say whatever you want. I don't care if you say Happy Holidays or if you just, say, David, I can't stand you. I don't care. But some interesting things do emerge when we look at different Muslim ways of responding to a simple question like, should we wish Christians Merry Christmas? Right, so here, final Shabir Ali clip.
Some people think that by saying Merry Christmas to our Christian friends, that means we're approving of the fact that they worship Jesus. But the greeting itself has nothing to do with that. Christmas is largely celebrated as a religious holiday by those who believe that Jesus was born around this time. Or even if they know that he wasn't born at this time, they're nevertheless commemorating his birthday at this time. So that's not the same as worshiping the person. So there's nothing wrong in saying Merry Christmas to our Christian friends, or Happy Holidays if that's what one is more comfortable with.
So the takeaway there was Shabir Ali said it's perfectly fine to wish someone Merry Christmas, because in saying Merry Christmas, if you're celebrating the birth of Jesus, well, there's nothing wrong with celebrating the birth of Jesus. So it doesn't mean you have to believe in the incarnation or the deity of Christ or the Trinity or any of these things just to say, be happy on this holiday where you celebrate the birth of Jesus. Keep in mind, Muslims believe in a virgin birth too. So what's the problem here? Well, we're going to see a problem because he just put his foot down and said, it's okay. And other Muslims are going to say that is not the case. And they're going to say that basically Shabir is heading to hell for saying that. And they're going to say that what Shabir has just done is worse than murder. It's worse than killing someone, what he just told. And actually, it's far worse because this isn't just some random Muslim wishing people Merry Christmas. This is Shabir Ali influencing the Muslim community to say that it's okay to say Merry Christmas. And according to some of the Muslim speakers we're going to look at here, he basically just said, do something, everyone just go, it's fine to do something that's worse than murder. And so this is very, very bad stuff, ladies and gentlemen. So Zakir Naik is basically going to condemn Muhammad to hell, and others will say that what Shabir did is worse than mass murder there. So
it is, by the way, something that I learned too when I was in my Muslim times, and I also see that often explained by Islamic scholars, especially by the very traditionalist ones, that celebrating Christians, for example, for their holidays means approving of what they are celebrating. It means participating in their kufr, in their blasphemy, in their big great insult against Allah. If you say Merry Christmas, then you are approving of what they are doing, which means you are with them together insulting Allah, and that it's therefore wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Quick question here from Medhead. Let's see here. So Medhead says, darn it, why did this get smaller? I accidentally. There we go. All right. There we go. All right. I've got the positioning down. All right. Medhead says, I was raised a Muslim, but left. That's good. But have a very difficult time accepting Jesus' divinity as equal with Yahweh. Bart Ehrman and Rabbi Tovia Singer convinced me, and I've read Bible twice. What do I do? Well, I would suggest actually reading the like a case for the deity of Christ from like a respected Christian scholar who deals in this area, right? Keep in mind, Medhead, if you just go out and you look at what all the critics say, almost any position sounds unreasonable, right? You could take anything that you believe in the world. If you just go out and say, let me find people who are condemning and attacking this, it's not going to give you an accurate view. So it's good. It's good to keep the objections of people like Bart Ehrman in mind, but you want to see both sides of the story. So for that, if let's see. Okay, if you've read the Bible twice, then you have no problem with reading long books. So I would recommend a book called Putting Jesus in His Place by Ed Komaszewski and Rob Bowman. That's sort of the gold standard in cases for, in laying out the evidence as it occurs in the Bible. So it's called Putting Jesus in His Place. You can find it on Amazon. Read that, and then come back and tell us what you think. All right, AP, any thoughts or comments you want to respond to before we go on to 2 clips from Yasser Qadi?
No, that's basically all I wanted to say. I was just thinking about something that I thought earlier today, which was I was thinking of making an animated parody of Muhammad and Allah, and then I was because people in the comment section are talking about the beard of Shabir Ali, and I was thinking since Muhammad requires everyone to have like no mustache and this weird beard, which is a very interesting look on the face. I was wondering if we were to depict Allah, would we also have to depict Allah with no mustache and a beard? And I was just wondering about that very mysterious question in my mind. I just wanted to share this.
We do have to figure out how we're going to depict Allah in various video projects. But we do, interestingly, have some.
Let us know.
We do have some descriptions of him in certain sources and so on. So we can actually put all of those together and see what the descriptions say about the great God Allah. And make sure we get the
great God Allah.
Make sure we get him down. So, for instance, Allah is solid. there's a passage in Tabari where Allah, before he sort of animates Adam, he makes like a statue, but it looks exactly like Allah. So there's a statue, and so Satan is puzzled. He's wondering if this is Allah because it's not moving. So he's trying to figure out if this is Allah. So he crawls inside him and then crawls out his butt. And then he says, nope, I've realized this is not Allah because Allah is solid, whereas this guy is hollow. And so this is some of the great stuff you
Where is that?
That's in Tabari.
Really?
Yeah, if you type in, you could probably type in like Allah, Satan, Allah. If you type in the quotation, Allah is solid, I think that'll come up. But yeah, I've been wanting to make some videos on Allah, the man God.
I never came across that.
Allah. I mean, in the Muslim sources, I think indisputably has a physical body. But yeah, it's one of the things that needs to be pointed out. These are the sort of the significance of certain topics to polemics in Islam and Islamic belief. There are certain topics which really, really need to be blasted. One, about how frequently and all the various ways that they deify Muhammad, because that strikes at the very heart of their claim to, be these pure worshippers of Allah. But also that, their claims about Jesus and having a body and things like that. Gosh, Allah has a body. Any knowledgeable Salafi is going to demand it because of the passages where you just can't get around it. All right, do we want to take a look at what Yasser Qadi has to say, because he's going to be the other sort of nice guy here.
Definitely. Meanwhile, dear viewers, please let us know if Allah should have a beard with no mustache or not. Thank you.
You know what we should do? One night, if we're getting ready to make something, if we're going to make if we're going to be doing some sort of video like that, we'll actually go live and we'll just let people vote. Right? We'll just let people vote, beard or no beard. We'll just go down the list. Veil or no veil
That's a good
on
idea.
Allah. And we could actually read the passages and show what the Muslim sources say, and then let people vote on how we're going to do it. That would actually be cool for something, right? Like we could I don't know how this would work out exactly, but we'll let people vote on the content of certain videos or projects or something. Then we go out and do it, and then it was what do they call it? There's some term that they use when it's the fans or your subscribers or something like that who are deciding how it's done. There's some
I
term.
don't know.
Who knows what term that is? There is some term where the people are deciding on what happens in the video. All right, I forget.
I have no idea.
All right, let's go ahead and let's check out what Yasser Qadi has to say. Our good friend Yasser, he's going to be pretty similar to what Shabir is saying, and because of that, he's also going to be in trouble with certain other Muslims who are going to condemn him to hell. All right, here we go.
I say Merry Christmas to my co-workers. Obviously, from an Islamic perspective, the reason why this question is coming up is because Christmas is something that might perhaps indicate a religious belief that is against our teachings. So in reality, all of these phrases, they need to be looked at. If a phrase conveys a theology that is kufr or shirk, and if it endorses a theology that is essentially haram, then we cannot say that phrase. However, if the phrase is generic and we are simply saying, may you have a good day today, and may you have a good fortune, for example, may your life be good, may God bless you in this life, these types of generic phrases are permitted. And somebody asked Imam Ahmad, can I make dua for my Christian relatives or friends? What should I say? Imam Ahmad said, ask them for make dua that Allah bless them with a good life. No problem. You may make dua for their worldly things.
So, AP, you can go ahead and ignore me right now and just focus on listening to the clips, because I'm going to go ahead and post the next one. Just notice he's setting it up. He's gonna be more clear here in a second, everyone. But he's going to basically claim that it's up to you. It's on how you interpret your words. If you believe that by saying Merry Christmas you are somehow affirming some bad theology or something like that, then yeah, you shouldn't say those words. But if you don't believe, if you just believe that you're wishing well on someone on some particular day, he thinks you're allowed to do that as a Muslim. So you're perfectly fine wishing someone to be happy on a certain day. So that's where he's going to go. Let's go ahead and watch the second clip, and then we'll have Yasser Qadi's position on whether people should be wishing others Merry Christmas. Here we go.
So the question therefore is, do these phrases convey theological problems? If you think that they do, then they must be avoided. If you think that they don't, and it's just a generic phrase that says, may you be happy today, then these phrases would be permissible. It goes back to what these phrases convey, and frankly, different cultures and different times and places might actually convey different things via these phrases. So the question goes back to you. If these phrases convey theological impermissibilities, it is not allowed to use. If these phrases are generic and it's simply a well-wishing for that particular day, then they would be permitted.
So notice what he said there. He said the question goes back to you. He said, notice at no point those were his comments. Those were his comments on this issue. He's saying he's not going to tell you, right? He said the question goes back to you. Are you regarding your words as affirming some sort of pagan theology or something like that, or are you interpreting your words as just wishing well upon someone? He's saying you have to decide. So he says that it basically flips back to you. And AP. You know, what was interesting, if you go to the comment section on Yasser Qadi's video there, tons of Muslims in the comment section are going, so can I do it or not?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. He's not actually answering any question. He's not actually clearing anything up,
Yeah. Well,
You
it's
can't say to Muslims the question goes back to you. The Muslims will be like, well, I'm asking you.
yeah. See that, and that's notice that's a problem, and I talk about it fairly regularly. That in the Islamic way of thinking, you don't know what to do unless you're
Yeah,
told, right?
yeah,
You
yeah.
don't know how to go to the bathroom unless you're told, right? The answer is you have to step into the bathroom with your left foot first, and you have to squat while peeing. Notice, not sitting on the toilet. You have to squat while peeing. You have to wipe yourself with an odd number of stones. The importance of that in Islamic thought is you don't know how to do anything unless God tells you. You're in a state of ignorance until Allah tells you this is what you do, right? So if someone were to tell me, if I were to say, "Hey, should I say this?" As a Christian, if I said Happy Ramadan to someone, I said, am I really supposed to be saying Happy Ramadan? I don't know. I'd like to ask someone who is, who studies these issues more than I do. And if he said to me, David, that's going to come down to you. You have to decide what you mean by those words. If you believe that you are somehow affirming Islamic theology, or that Ramadan was revealed, instituted by Allah or something like that, if you believe you're doing that, then you shouldn't do that. But if you're just saying, hey, my Muslim friend, I want the best for you, even though I don't agree with you, I'm fine with this, then you're okay. If someone said that to me, that would, I could look at that and go, okay, I understand your point. Why? Because sort of morality in Christianity, it's more principle based than rule based, right? You have principles. You have principles that are given, like do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Notice you can figure out almost any situation what you should do. Should I knock this old lady over and take her purse? Well, no, I wouldn't want someone doing that to me if I were an old lady. I wouldn't want someone knocking me over and taking my purse. Should I do this? Should I do that? Should I hit that person? All you have to think is, would I want someone doing that to me? So it gives you the principle, but then you can think for yourself on how to implement and apply that principle in the world. So Christianity sort of encourages thinking about these issues. In Islam, you just have no clue. You have no clue what to do unless Allah is telling you this is what you do in this situation. So the result of having that over 14 centuries is someone like Yasser Qadi comes along and says, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm going to let you decide. And everyone's, what?
Yeah, yeah.
How can we do something like that? Yeah.
It was a problem when I was a Muslim. When I think back now, and even previously, whenever I thought back, I noticed that when I was a Muslim, I would actually go through what Allah wants from me and what Muhammad asks of me, and what the Quran tells me. And I would think about what the right thing. What is the right thing to do according to what I'm taught. I thought I would have to use my mind and try to figure it out and try to be the best I could possibly be. But I realized very late that most Muslims don't think that way. Most Muslims they're just given instructions for every detail ever, and they just need to follow the instructions completely. If they don't know, it says enter the toilet, open the toilet door with your right hand, and enter it with your right foot, sit down and do this and do that, and then suddenly there is the toilet paper invented, and they can't find the instruction on what to do with the toilet paper, so they just go, well, I guess I don't use the toilet paper, right? This is what I do because I don't have an instruction for that. Well, this is legitimately a position that exists, by the way.
That's why you have these. That's why you have these fatwas. That's the main use of fatwas, right?
Yes,
like
yes.
we hear, like in the West, just because of the media, we think of a fatwa as like a ruling to kill Salman Rushdie or something over his book, the Satanic Verses. But fatwas come out all the time, and the main purpose is saying, here's some situation that you don't have a clear ruling from Allah on. So what we're going to do is we're going to take something about Muhammad or something that Allah commanded, and we're going to try to apply it to this situation, and then you're going to have your new ruling. So you have your new rule that you can now follow. Oh, this is how I wipe with toilet paper, even though Muhammad said to wipe with an odd number of stones. And so, this
it is
interesting
insane.
system. Yeah.
this is not something we're making up. It actually exists. I mean, some people in the West, who grew up based on Western culture, which is especially in the last 200 years, arguably some other people would suggest that it has been so for a much longer time, very much built on the thought of thinking and of on reason, on philosophy, and so on. It is completely normal here in the West to think and to do what is reasonable, to do what seems to be the right thing to do. But in the Islamic world, it is actually quite normal that for the most basic things in your life, for the most basic details, forget about wiping your butt, about everything, like when it comes to the dinner table, or to going to bed, going to sleep, laying your head on the pillow, and all these things. People actually have questions about these things. People actually go online nowadays. There should be even questions about whether it is okay or not to go online and ask a question, but they are past that, and they go online and go on these Islamic websites to ask whether it's okay or not to use this specific pillow, or how they should put their head on the pillow, or how they should lay on their bed, how they should hold their fork, and what they should eat first on their plate, on their at the dinner table. These are really legitimately things that Muslims are concerned about. That this might seem like comedy, like a great exaggeration to people in the West, but these are really concerns, serious concerns that Muslim individuals in this world have, and that Islamic scholars issue fatwas about. So therefore, when Yasir Qadri says the question goes back to you, and you have to decide if it's right or not based on whether you are theologically approving of something or not, people actually don't really know what to do with that information. And that's why many Muslims come out and say, well, Yasir Qadri is committing shirk, he's committing blasphemy, he's approving of something. He says it is up to you. How can you say it is up to you? Nothing is up to you. You have to make a rule for that. So it is really a giant mess. If you have a brain, you should avoid Islam.
This is interesting stuff that you have. And AP, I know you don't believe in a spiritual realm, but if I were to think of basically a Christian perspective on whether, because you got a couple of possibilities, right? Muhammad can be coming up with stuff out of his own mind, or he could actually, from a Christian perspective, he could actually be influenced demonically. And I think most Christians would think that it's kind of a mixture. Some of the stuff he's getting from his own mind, but other stuff is actually demonic. And the reason is, I mean, it could be things like, if you look at what Islam does with the gospel, that Islam says, we'll agree with you on everything else. We'll agree with you on the Messiah part. We'll agree with you on the virgin birth part. We'll agree with you on the miracles. We'll agree with you on all these things, just not his death, resurrection, and deity, which is that's the gospel, right? Those are the three things you're required to believe. Islam says, I'll agree with you on everything else except those. So it does stuff like that. But one of the things I think it does is it basically says, hey, you want to be good with God and you want to be a really religious, spiritual person, do all these tons of little things, which, as far as I can tell, have nothing to do with anything, right? Whether you should eat with 3 fingers, right? I don't even know how many Muslim videos I've seen demanding that you eat with these 3 fingers, right? And you better not have a pinky in there. You better not have a pinky in there. You better not do it. All these videos going through these details, like, seriously, why would it matter odd number of stones or even number of stones? Why would it matter? Why would the number of dates matter? Why would all of these little obsessive weird things matter? And it seems to just be a system designed to keep you so busy that you don't have any time to think about whether this has anything to do with actually honoring God. And so just notice it's hey, if you dress in a certain way, you have your beard in a certain way, or if you're a woman, you have your covering a certain way. And if you don't eat that thing, but you do eat this thing, you could be filled with the most vile hatred for other people that we've seen anywhere in the world. You could believe that torturing and slaughtering people and blowing people up is good. You could think that it's perfectly acceptable to have sex with prepubescent girls and to rape captives and to hire prostitutes. You could think that is all fine. But you're in good with God if you still have your beard correct and you have your head covering right and you're not eating that thing over there and you're not drinking that stuff over there. If you got those down, you could be basically a completely wicked and corrupt person in every way. But as long as you're doing these couple things, oh, you're in so good with God. You're so good with God. How do we know? Because you're exactly like your prophet. If you're filled with all this anger and rage and perversion and wickedness, but you're obsessed with doing all these little things that keep you busy, you're good with God. If I were to think what I would do, if I were a powerful demonic force, hell bent on inventing a religion that will keep people so busy that they can't see how silly it is, I could not come up with anything better
Yeah.
than Muhammad's religion.
You might be lusting after children. You might have sexually violated women in a war. You might have done all kinds of terrible, horrible things. But you better be careful when you go to the toilet, how you sit down and how you squeeze it out. So
You got to you squeeze it out. What's wrong with you?
yeah, so you got to be careful.
Shout out to Johnny Avanti in the super stickers. I've never used a super sticker, so I'm always interested in
I want to use that, man.
what super stickers pop up because this is the first time I see them. He's got this one of this weird bean-looking character doing lifting weights. So anyway, that's cool. How many are there? Are there like hundreds of super stickers, or is there like 5 or 8 that you choose from? Anyone who's actually been in there and seen what the options are?
I found it now. Okay.
All right. So quick comment from Muslim. I didn't know he was still in here, but maybe this is from earlier. Maybe it's from earlier. I'm still way back in the comments on here. Then we'll take a look at Zakir. We're going to go on to Zakir Naik, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get Zakir Naik's perspective. And we're going to see him talking to a 16-year-old kid, but his comments would apply definitely to Shabir Ali and possibly to Yasser Qadi. But Muslim said, answer me, coward. I don't want to be a coward. I want to be a coward, so I better answer. Why did you hammer your father? Muslim, you can go to my channel. You can find it. It's the first video that pops up. Why I'm a Christian. I explain everything. I don't know why I would have to explain it again. But basically, psychopath. I have mental health problems. Back then, I had even more mental health problems. I was a nihilist, so I believe that there was no point to anything. I had a very low view of human beings. I regarded them as like disgusting, and so. Basically, you watch the video. I take you through all my reasoning there. Now, the only reason I pointed this out is because go ahead and watch that video, Muslim. I mean, think even if you're not really trying to learn anything, you're just trying to be mean. If you watch that, you'll get some more ammunition against me because I talk about a lot of horrible stuff that I did. So if you want to go post comments about me in places and say what a big jerk I am, you could do that, right? You could gather a bunch of information there, but. Do one thing for me. One thing for me. After you watch that video, just ask yourself the question. This violent, head-bashing, sick dude in mental hospitals and prisons converted to Christianity, what would he have done if he would have converted to my religion? And I'm referring to Islam. Ask yourself that, Muslim, because keep in mind, you might have loved me. You might have loved me if I had converted to Islam, because I would have been like jihadi of the year, right? Because I don't have basic things like compassion or empathy or something like that. I was born without those things, so I would have been jihadi of the year. So just keep that in mind. All right.
Keep that in mind.
and then once you've done that, then ask yourself what this tells you. What this tells you about your religion's impact on people. All right, we ready to go on to some Zakir Naik?
Yeah, I was making these symbols while I was sitting here. Some people pointed out that I was flashing Illuminati signs.
Yeah.
During the live chat. I'm just trying to. I heard that this is how you are. How the Illuminati recruits you if you flash these signs in public. I'm just trying to get the attention of the Illuminati so they can.
Oh, you should have seen when I did my video the jihad triangle and I made the sign and stuff. Everyone, this Illuminati confirmed. It's just amazing. What cracks me up is there are people like who are expressive with their hands, and so they talk like this all the time and stuff like that. And people will just there are entire channels that will just take these little snapshots of you like making all these hand signals and stuff like that. And yeah, they're Illuminati.
I made a thing. There is a video Sometimes I go out there on YouTube and search for what people say about me. Just when I'm bored, I sit down with my wife and search for Apostate Prophet, and then I look at what all the Muslims say, and I just keep laughing because they think they're destroying me, and I just have so much fun watching those videos. And there's this one video which says Apostate Prophet just made our job much easier or something like that, and they took a short, brief clip. I think that was on your channel. I was with you in a talk or so, and I believe I said something like that I made an ancestry DNA test, and it turned out that I have a 12% Sephardic Jewish ancestry or something like that.
Oh, they got you now.
Yeah, they took that. They took that, put some creepy Islamic background music there, and they just took that part, didn't even add any of their own speech, then showed a picture of me where my nose is kind of weird, kind of crooked, And they said, and they basically implied that this is that I'm a secret Jew.
You're busted.
And that I'm stupid enough to even say publicly that I have Jewish ancestry, and that this is why I'm doing all of this,
Yeah, that's what cracks me up, right? That there are these people that think we're all members of these super awesome secret societies behind the scenes, but that we keep accidentally blurting it out and flashing our signs all over the place. Oopsie, I did it again. Oops, I made that triangle again. Oops. Oopsie, we're super smart conspiracy dudes all over the place, but yeah, keep accidentally doing that.
Oops.
Yeah. All right, we want to look at some Zakir Night clips, but a quick comment from Samir here. Samir said, Muslims are, and I've been getting several comments on this. I have not looked into it yet, so that's going to be my response. But I am seeing comments, so there must be something going on here. But Samir says Muslims are protesting against India's citizenship bill to give citizenship to persecuted minorities in Islamic nations. In Islamic nation in India, like Hindus, Sikhs, and Christians. What is your take on this, Samir? I haven't looked at. Have you looked into that? Have you read up on that?
I read a little bit. I think the Indian government made this Citizenship Act where people who come from these neighboring Islamic countries and who are not Muslims, who belong to 6 or 5 faiths, I believe, like Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, Christianity, and Sikhism. These people can come into India and apply for a quicker citizenship, Indian citizenship. And I believe this has outraged the Muslims because they think that there is a discrimination going on where the Indian government favors people who are non-Muslims. But as it seems, the Indian government just wants to invite people who feel persecuted in these neighboring Islamic countries. Mm-hmm. But I think there is one more detail in it where I'm not exactly sure about the detail, but I think it entails something further where in a different process where people have come from different countries, non-Muslims can get a quicker citizenship than Muslims, and that has kind of given and Muslim speakers, Muslim activists have kind of spread the idea that this is India trying to set up the persecution, the genocide of Muslim communities or something like that. And I don't know, there's a big storm of propaganda and fights going on. I'm not exactly sure.
Mm-hmm. All right, so yeah, Samir, I might look into that because it might be. I'm getting several requests for my comments on this issue. Yeah, if you want, send me an article or something like that if you know a good one. But yeah, it might be worth looking into. What are you laughing at? What did you see that made you laugh?
I just laugh at the chat. I don't know. I enjoy it recently. The whole Illuminati stuff.
All right, so we're gonna shout out to Johnny Avanti for joining the coolest group in the world, the Boom Squad. Keep in mind, guys, if you're just tuning in, if you have channels that you ever think are at risk of being banned at some point in the future, the new YouTube terms of service allow as an excuse for YouTube to ban these channels if they're not making money for YouTube. So if you know a channel out there, and that would include like AP's channel, his aren't set up yet. But if you know channels that you are fans of, if you see a join button, jump in for $5 a month or whatever it is. You're actually helping them be protected by YouTube. All right, let's go ahead and watch a couple clips from Zakir Naik. And here's where we start finding some condemnations going on. This is Zakir Naik, who's really, really tough when he's talking to a teenager. Like to see him take on Yasser Qadi and Shabir Ali. But we're going to look at what Zakir Naik says. And want to get through these because, gosh, we've already been on here for an hour and 20 minutes. So I'm just going to play one clip, brief commentary, drawing attention to his main point there. And then we'll go to the second clip, and then, of course, to the third clip, and then we'll have Zakir Naik's position. Then I think we only have one more clip after that from someone else. All right, here we go.
Asked a question that he wants to wish Merry Christmas to his friend so that he can build relationships. So tomorrow he'll ask me the question, why can't I have a peg of alcohol to build relationship? Why not? Why? What's wrong? Why can't I eat some pork with them? Why can't I go to church and worship Jesus Christ, peace be upon him? See, you don't have to do anything haram for doing dawah. For reaching the goals, you cannot use wrong means, brother. What is haram for them is haram for you also. When you are wishing Merry Christmas to them, you are agreeing that Jesus Christ, peace be upon him, was born on the 25th of December, and you are agreeing that he is the begotten Son of God, which is shirk. Why it is wrong? Because the Christians, they believe that Jesus Christ, peace be upon him, is the begotten Son of God. Now, irrespective whether he may be a practicing Christian or not, they celebrate because it's the birthday.
All right, so Shabir is obviously interpreting the words Merry Christmas in a very different fashion from the way someone like Shabir Ali was interpreting them. He's claiming that if you wish someone Merry Christmas, you are affirming the December 25th birthday of Jesus, which is interesting because, I mean, most Christians I know of would not claim that that was actually Jesus' birthday. We have a good idea of how the early Christians arrived at that date, but it was based on a very weird view that they tended to have, which was also a view that is present in Islam. But basically, the early Christians, certain early Christians, believed that a prophet is a prophet, or really any very important religious figure, right? Someone big. So your Moses, your King David, your Jesus, most of all, right? Any of these important figures, they're going to be conceived on the same day, on the same date that they die on, right? They had very weird views about like this divine harmony in the universe, and that was one of the things they believed. But it's actually in the Muslim sources that a prophet will be born on the same day that he dies. So slightly different. They were thinking of it in terms of conception. Anyway, they calculated their best estimate of the date of Jesus' death, and then so they're taking that as the date of his conception as well, and then they add 9 months to that to figure out when he was to be born, and they came up with December 25th. So we think all of that is weird, but yeah, so most people don't have that view. So most people are not going to say that, yeah, December 25th, that's when he was born. But Zakir Naik is saying, not only if you say the words Merry Christmas, not only are you agreeing to the date, but you're also agreeing that Jesus is the only begotten Son of God. You're affirming the theology by saying the words Merry Christmas. And all right, just wanted to clarify the point he was making there, and we want to go on to these next clips here.
Brother asked a very good question.
Brother makes a good point. Here we go.
You ask the question, is saying Merry Christmas wrong? I mean, I'm telling you it is wrong.
Okay.
100% wrong according to me. If you don't know what Christmas is celebrated for, like by mistake, if you don't know it is alcohol and if you think it is Pepsi and you have it, Allah may forgive you. So if you don't know what is Christmas standing for being in UK, do you know what Christmas stands for?
Well, as of now,
Or have you come from somewhere outside?
well, as of now, I think it stands for a
Do you know
commercial.
what? Do
I
you
think it
know-
stands for a commercial business. That's what it
Sorry?
stands for. It stands for a commercial business, a place where people give each other presents.
No, commercial.
That-
What is the excuse? No, don't.
It's
don't
a
beat around the
holiday.
bush. I'm asking the question. Do you know what is the excuse for commercial business? What is the excuse? Why do they celebrate Christmas? For what?
Because it's the birth of Christ.
Right, finish. You know about it? And they consider Jesus Christ, peace be upon him, as the Son of God, begotten Son. Do you know that?
Yeah, I know that, but
If you know that, and then if you wish Merry Christmas, it is haram.
So Shabir is laying out his position there. So notice Yasser Qadi, his position was, it depends on what you mean when you're saying the words Merry Christmas. Shabir's position was, we're in a totally different time. We have a more pluralistic society. People can wish us, happy holidays for our holidays, and we can wish them happy holidays on their holidays. We can say things like Merry Christmas. Whereas Zakir Naik is basically putting it as, you're either ignorant of what Christmas is or you know. If you came from somewhere that didn't celebrate Christmas and you said Merry Christmas because you didn't know what it meant, Allah might forgive you, just as He might forgive you if you think, oh, here's a soda, and you take a drink and it was actually alcohol. Allah might forgive you because you did it in ignorance. But Nike thinks that if you know, that's why he's asking the kid, do you know what Christmas is? Do you know what Christmas is? As soon as the kid says, yeah, I know what Christmas is, then it's haram. It's haram for you to say it. But Shabir is actually going to go further than that. So here's where things get interesting. Final Zakir Naik clip.
He's a medical doctor.
He is a medical doctor, all right. Would you want him operating on you with his great knowledge? You want him performing surgery?
He's a medical doctor.
He certainly is. All right, here we go.
If you're coming from Timbuktu and you did not know, and in ignorance, if you wish, Allah may forgive you. If you don't know that is alcohol, and if you think it is Pepsi and you drink it, Allah may forgive you. But if you know it and you think you're building relationship, you know what you're doing? You're building a place in the Jahannam. So therefore, brother, for reaching any good means, you never have to adopt wrong means. You have to go as the guidance of the Quran and the Sunnah. Hope that answers the question.
All right, so if you say Merry Christmas, you are building yourself a place in hell. That's what he said, Jahannam. That's what he said. You're going to hell if you do this, and so that's why I pointed out, right, that if Shabir Ali, someone like Shabir Ali, is going and telling Muslims, hey, it's okay to wish people Merry Christmas. And Zakir Naik is sitting here saying, actually, you're telling them to do something that will get them sent to hell. So Shabir simply isn't, according to Zakir Naik, going to hell himself. He's convincing other Muslims to go to hell. And so, gosh.
If you come from Timbuktu and you don't know what Christmas is, then it is forgiven.
Yeah,
whatever.
I'm starting to... Gosh, I'm wondering if Shabir is safe from some of these, Zakir Naik followers. If he's being that, if you're a Muslim, you would have to, if you follow Zakir Naik and you believe what he just said, then you'd have to regard Shabir as an evil, false teacher who's sending people to hell, He's not helping them; he's sending them to hell.
Zakir Naik has a very poor logic. He's it's very typical actually of a preacher like him to be completely logically inconsistent and absurd like that. But he basically at the beginning of this speech he compared saying Merry Christmas in order to be nice to Christians or in order to make community with people who celebrate Christmas. He compared that to drinking alcohol with them in order to be closer to them, or to eating pork in order to be closer to them. That's a false equivalency, and you don't have to be very smart to get behind that and to see what is wrong with that logic. It is very clear that eating pork and drinking alcohol are in and of themselves forbidden acts that are considered dirty and considered evil, and that are called so directly in the Quran, in the Hadith. This is a very well-known issue. Whereas you don't have a clearly outlined rule that tells you that you are not supposed to say Merry Christmas, or you're not supposed to say Merry whatever to people who celebrate a different holiday. So comparing saying Merry Christmas to eating alcohol, to eating pork and drinking alcohol, is a very, very poor logic that someone couldn't have properly thought through. But in Zakir Naik's case, I would just say that he speaks to an audience that is not very intelligent. And he's not very intelligent, although he is a medical doctor. But it's very ridiculous. Even if he's a medical doctor.
As far as I can tell, Zakir Naik does have a very good ability to memorize lists of references, right? He can memorize lists of references so that when you ask him, he can just spout them out. His reasoning ability is like among the worst I've ever heard from anyone in any position, right? Because keep in mind, guys, you can have different abilities in different areas, right? You can be great at math and absolutely horrible at you know, science or reading interpretation or something like that. Zakir Naik is great at sitting down and memorizing a bunch of references. His reasoning is horrible, but
I'm
his
sorry, I don't think there is an excuse for his absolutely terrible reasoning.
yeah.
I don't
No,
know.
what I'm saying is his followers tend to, oh, he's spouting off a bunch of references. Therefore, we can trust whatever he says, no
Yeah,
matter how
yeah, yeah.
irrational or illogical it is. I mean, just the point. I mean, there are multiple problems with what he just said. But just think about the point AP was saying. So he's telling this teenager who doesn't know, who might not be able to think quickly on his feet. Hey, you saying you're going to wish Merry Christmas so that you can get along with Christians and be on good terms with them. Um, that would be like you saying I'm going to eat pork and drink alcohol to get along with them. Well, no, because the question is, and we're getting this from this from Muslims. You go back to Yasser Qadi. He's saying it depends on what you mean by Merry Christmas, right? It depends on what you mean by that. Shabir Ali was saying the same thing. What do you mean when you're saying Merry Christmas? Are you just wishing them well? So the question is that, are you affirming a person's theology? Are you affirming a person's theology by saying these words? That's what's under investigation. And Zakir completely ignores that. He says, nope, you're doing it. That's a fact. Let's move aside. And then let me draw the parallel to drinking alcohol and eating pork. And so, but he can give a bunch of references. And so people will just accept anything he says, right? He'll go up and chapter number 15, verse number 26, and just say that a bunch of times, and they'll cheer no matter how idiotic the point he makes out of it is. And it's just
He's a medical doctor, then
it's
that's the thing.
sad situation. Zakir
Brother,
Naik.
brother, I'm a medical doctor.
Hey, people are posting emojis laughing at Zakir Naik. That's not nice, everyone.
Don't do that. He's a medical doctor. He's a medical doctor.
Shout out to Cheryl R for the super sticker there. All right, couple
But
quick.
why didn't you make a shout out for me? I made 3 super stickers.
You're right here. I don't need a shout out. Is like, hey, you. Hey, I see you there. Of course I see you. You're right here all day.
Yeah.
Um,
All day. By the way, everyone, pay attention to that detail. I'm here all day.
yeah, you're here all day.
All day. I moved in at David Wood's home. That we made that we explained that in our last episode. We are living in the same house, but
You still have it. You still have an invitation to pack up the family, move near me. We'll go live every night. We will wreak havoc. We will wreak havoc on Islam. All right, couple quick comments right here before we get to our last one, our last video clip. But Patrick Fisher says, David, have you thought about doing a live stream with fellow Answering Islam website author and Christian debater, Dr. Samuel Green? No, I haven't really, but that's because somehow in my mind I always think, he's if you're on the other side of the world, I think there's going to be like an internet problem or something like that. So he's Australia. So, but is that even the case? Like I'm thinking there's got to be a delay in the signal getting to me or something like that. So is that actually the case? Guys, tell me, because I would love to have Samuel Green on there. He's put out a ton of awesome content and he's a debater. So. Be happy to put that. Hey, people are posting tons of emojis up here. What are you guys laughing at?
I see Sam Shamoon is here saying
what?
Boring.
Oh my goodness, where? hater Shamoon. He can't get anyone to come watch his live stream, so he comes over here and harasses us.
Yeah.
Wow, this is bad. All right, so we have one more clip. Everyone. One more video clip. We'll discuss that a little bit, and we'll probably sign off. But looking for Sam, so I can just go ahead and probably pull up his comment to tell everyone how much I dislike Sam Shamoon.
Yeah. Just
Oh,
kick him out of the live chat. Just
oh,
ban
actually,
him.
here was the comment I was looking for. I saw it down here, but Medhead actually seems to be on here trying to rapidly research a bunch of topics. But Medhead said, from a historical perspective, how authentic are the hadith? Is the Sahih grade academically reliable or only authentic from an Islamic perspective? I'll tell you what I think, and then AP can tell you what he thinks. Um, I think the Islamic grading system is an absolute ridiculous joke. I think it contradicts itself. I think it's silly. I don't know of any non-Muslim who takes it seriously. So just to give you an idea of why it's silly. So think about this, right? You get a hadith. Let's say you've got a hadith recorded in Bukhari or Sahih Muslim, right? You've got a hadith. And the way these guys verified it, supposedly, was they would go to someone and say, hey, I heard you know a story about Muhammad. And he said, yes. And he tells the story. And he says, okay, where did you get that from? He said, oh, I got it from so-and-so. Okay, now where did he get it from? He got it from so-and-so. And where did he get it from? He got it from so-and-so. And then so you've got like these 8 names on this list that go back to a companion of Muhammad. All right, so this is the method. And basically the Islamic method is, if you know that all of the people on that list of those, the chain of transmitters, right? So-and-so got it from so-and-so, got it from so-and-so, got it from so-and-so. If you know all of those guys can be trusted, then you can trust the hadith. You know, there are other conditions that can't contradict the Quran or something like that, but that's basically the methodology. Do you trust all the people on there? Now think about this. How do you know if you can trust, person number 3 or 4 on that list? You'd have to believe that you have an accurate knowledge of his life and whether he was a really good Muslim, right? How are you going to know that? How are you going to know about that person? How are you going to know about all these people on this list to know that they're all trustworthy? According to the methodology, the only way you could know whether you know something about someone from a century or a century and a half earlier is to use hadith methodology. So how would you be able to learn about that person, right? Oh, would you have to have a chain of transmitters to go back and give you information about that person? How would you know you can trust all the people in that chain of transmission? Oh, because we'll study their lives. How are you going to study their lives? In order to know that you can trust these stories about these people, you'd have to have a reliable chain of Do you see? You can never get off the ground with this, right? You can never get off the ground. You just have to believe. Okay, I believe I can trust these guys. In other words, you can't use. Put it this way: if Muslims were simply saying, "Hey, this is one way to do history, but there are other ways to do history," that would be one thing. If they're saying this is the only way you can confirm something historically, is this method of isnad criticism, then the method completely self-destructs. You can't use the method to learn about these guys because the method can never get off the ground. I'm trying to figure out how to make this clear. I'm just wondering, does everyone understand this? In order to know anything from history, you'd have to know that you could trust all of these different people. But wait a minute, that requires a ton of extra knowledge. Where are you getting that knowledge from? In order to know all these things about all these different men's lives, you'd have to know their life stories, but you'd have to be using isnads that lead you back reliably to them. Where are you getting this from? How do you ever find out if someone historically from a century earlier is reliable? To say he's reliable so I can trust what he says. How do you know you can trust what he says? Oh, because I have a reliable isnad going back to him? What? You're not getting the point. You're not getting the point. So that's kind of the problem with this methodology. So what they have to say is there are guys that we just regard as reliable, and maybe we have some comment somewhere about them being reliable, and we're going to accept that or something like that. But notice, if you can know about them, well, you could know about Muhammad using some other method, right? In other words, if you can know about this guy from a century after the time of Muhammad, and you can know that he's reliable because you somehow have magic knowledge about his life that isn't dependent on this isnad method, then why couldn't you know other stories about Muhammad that don't use the isnad method? By the way, Medhead, for about the first 2 centuries of Islam, there was no orthodox position on that, right? You had your Sira guys, so that's like people like Ibn Ishaq and later At-Tabari and so on. You had the Sira guys, and they had a different methodology from the Hadith collectors. What happened is eventually the hadith methodology won out and became part of Islamic orthodoxy, even though if you go back earlier, they thought there were different methods of doing things. So when we actually cite and say, hey, this is a Sahih narration, that is for the benefit of the Muslims who are watching, so that they understand it's going to be difficult for them to get around the passage. Because if I couldn't conceivably care less whether something has a Sahih narration after, I don't trust their methodology, and I don't know anyone outside of Islam who does. What are your thoughts on that, AP?
Well, there is a lot to say about that. I still want to make a video, a comprehensive video about how hadith terminology and hadith science, they call it science, works.
It's the true science. The only other science is the science in the Quran.
Yeah.
The scientific miracle of the Quran.
Doing that yet, because I just didn't find the time and the the willingness to actually make a whole video about that. But I'm surely going to make it quite soon sometime. I don't know, but it is ridiculous. It is by historical standards ambiguous at best, and it is not a reliable source. In historical standards, we would probably just refer to these hadiths, or refer to things that are said in the hadith as it is said, or it is reported that this and this was that way, but we are not sure about that because this is only what some people said. I mean, I have an example here. We have in hadith sciences, we have this issue where we take numerous reports that come from different people, that come from 3 or 4 different people, for example. We put them together in the hadith books, and you can clearly see in the hadith books that there are 2 narrations that contradict each other. For example, a narration that is very popular and accepted as Sahih says, this is just an example that I just made up. It says, Muhammad bought a horse and sat on its saddle before he jumped up and down and said, cheese with holes tastes like socks. This was after the night prayer. This is, for example, what the hadith says. And then you find this hadith reworded in several ways, 2 or 3 times in the hadith book. But then you find directly after it, it also certainly, there is a similar report that has been reported twice, which says Muhammad bought a donkey and sat on its saddle before he jumped up and down and said, cheese without holes tastes like socks. And this happened before the midday prayer. So you obviously see that there is an inconsistency in these details between these two narrations, and this happens quite often in these hadith books, especially in books like Sahih Bukhari or Sahih Muslim or all these books. And but what Muslims do here is that they accept both of these reports. They say, well, Muhammad said that cheese with holes or cheese without holes tastes like socks. So some cheese tastes like socks, and he said that at some point during the prayer, or before the prayer, or after the prayer. So they cannot agree on the details of this, but they just accept that something like this happened. And you can see here that the reports that about this incident were. There was obviously something going wrong. People were mistaken about what actually happened. But Muslims nevertheless accept these reports as authentic, and even include practices, teachings that come from these reports into their fundamental Islamic teachings, and follow these teachings, and even make these teachings essential rules of their daily Islamic practice. This is how seriously they take it, although this is also so ambiguous. One other thing they do is they take a chain of narrators, for example, and they say this specific narration, this specific report is untrue because one person in this chain of narrators turned out to be a liar. He lied at some point, or he is a non-Muslim who slandered Muhammad at some point, which means that we cannot trust this certain hadith. But that is, again, by historical standards, not acceptable. You cannot just dismiss someone's report about a historical event just because that person didn't follow the right faith, or just because you don't like what this person said, or just because that person lied on a different occasion. That's not how history works. I've been amateurishly studying history since I started reading. So I have a passion for history. I kind of understand how it works, but hadith science is definitely not in accordance with historical standards and with how we judge historically what is right and wrong. And by the way, it is an increasingly popular thing to doubt the historicity of hadiths by some Muslims who have problems with these hadiths. Want to go ahead and say, well, you cannot completely trust the hadiths because they cannot be historically verified. But the problem with that is that the Quran also relies on the hadiths. We can only verify the content of the Quran, and the assertion that the Quran that we have is the original Quran. We can only verify that based on the hadith that we have. So if the hadith are unreliable, if the hadiths are historically unreliable, that would also jeopardize the entire authenticity of the Quran. And yeah, that would give us a complete problem about cheese and socks.
Mm-hmm. All right, so those are our thoughts. Those are our thoughts on Islamic historical method. It's kind of problematic. It sounds like people who didn't know much about how his historical method works tried to come up with a way of doing history, and it's that's, you could say that's fine. They were doing the best they could, but then it just, in Islam, it becomes, this is the only way to do history, and my goodness, it's a really, really bad way to do history. Liza said, I remember when Nabil said that Sir Whitemeat was one of his favorites of the crazy names that Zakir Naik made up. Yeah, everyone, that comes from a video. I think the video is titled Zakir Naik 25 Errors in 5 Minutes. And that's where, again, you can have his followers, and he will be sitting there talking, and his followers will be going, oh, so wonderful, he's so brilliant. When Nabil, who, by the way, actually has a medical doctorate, right? He went to medical school.
He's a medical doctor.
Yeah, he actually went through Zakir Naik's claim and just sort of paused at everything that Zakir Naik said that was wrong in this 5-minute clip. And it was 25 mistakes. It was 25 mistakes in 5 minutes. Now notice that's in 5 minutes, 25 mistakes. So that's about 5 mistakes per minute that he was making. That's on average a mistake every 12 seconds in what he was saying. And it just doesn't bother his fans. They just don't care. It seems to be, say anything you want, no matter how ridiculous it is, as long as you say it with confidence and sound like you know what you're talking about, because that's all we care about, right? It's what it sounds like his followers are saying. And that is disturbing.
Mr. Whitemeat, yeah.
Mr. Whitemeat. All right, let's go ahead and there's some more comments here, but let's go ahead and watch that last video clip just so we can get out of the way. So we got Zakir Naik's, we had Shabir's perspective, very, very liberal position, very nice. You'd have no problem getting along with Shabir. Yasser Qadi's position also seemed, his position seemed very balanced. He says, hey, if you're worried about wishing someone Merry Christmas, just figure out what you mean by it and then base your decision on that. Then we get to Zakir Naik. Nope, the only thing you could mean when you say Merry Christmas is that you're affirming Christian theology and you're affirming the doctrine of the incarnation and the deity of Christ and the Trinity and so on. And so if you do it, you've just affirmed all of this, and you might as well, doing that, you might as well eat pork and drink alcohol if you're doing that sort of thing. Now we have this final this final clip. Save the best for last here. This is from Wajdi Akari in his famous clip. Unfortunately, it's pretty low resolution, but still a classic clip here. All right, last video clip that we're looking at.
No, we discussed this before, Akhi. In the lecture, Can I Celebrate This?, which the sister mentioned, I dealt with all these issues. You cannot say Merry Christmas, not even if an alien came and he told you, you cannot even say to him and say he's just an alien, I'm never going to see him again, he's not going to tell anyone. No Merry Christmas, not from a Muslim, not from a non-Muslim. It's not part of our deen, period. It's the concept that God was born on the 25th of December. That's as shirk and kufr as you can get. And you saying Merry Christmas, saying congratulations on your false religion, congratulations on your false understanding of life, you are congratulating them on the most evil of shirk and kufr. And as Ibn Qayyim said, this is worse than fornication and drinking alcohol and killing someone. Because you're approving of the biggest crime ever committed by the children of Adam, shirk. And you're saying to someone, no problem, Merry Christmas to you. That's what you're saying.
I actually want to watch that one more time here. Pay attention once more to what this guy says. Just to read. First of all, notice he's not even correct in what he says. He says, if you say Merry Christmas, you're affirming that God was born on December 25th. No, the incarnation is God has always existed. God entered creation. It would have been at the conception, but the birth took place. And again, people don't even believe generally that it was on December 25th. That's just the day we celebrated on. But I've never met a Christian who thinks that God was born, right? It's that Jesus, with his human nature, although he also had a divine nature, was born, and we celebrate that birth as the angels did. But basically, yeah, notice, because I'm thinking of a parallel here, right? Christians believe that God entered into creation and took on human flesh. And Muslims say, "Oh, this is the most horrible thing in the world. How can you believe that there was a time there was a time there?" There's a passage in the Quran. It is late. I'm on 3 hours sleep right now because I stayed up all night and then made a video. That's why I'm actually in my shirt from yesterday. This is still the same. This is still the same day for me. I took a quick nap, but there's a passage in the Quran, and in my foggy state, actually, if Hader Shamoun is here, he could probably confirm this for me. But I believe it's Surah 27, verses 7 to 9, where Allah appears to Moses, and Allah is in the flames. And the voice comes out and says that he is Allah in the flames. And it says, blessed is he who is in the fire and those who are around the fire. So Allah is the one who is in the flames. So our Muslim friends believe that Almighty Allah can go into a fire and speak out of a fire. And you would have to believe, if you take that story seriously, you would have to believe that actually took place on a certain date. So you believe that there's some date in history where Allah enters into a fire and speaks out of a fire, right? So you believe that. And yet you'll believe that it's a complete logical contradiction, or the worst sin ever, to believe that there was a time when God entered creation and took on a physical body. So God can be in fire, not in human flesh. He can be in fire, not in human flesh. It's degrading to say that he took on human flesh, not degrading to say that he was in a fire. You guys following me here? Because this is how Islamic reasoning works. All right, we're going to look at this clip one more time, just so you pay attention that he is saying that to say the words Merry Christmas, it's worse than murder. It's worse than killing someone. So we just want to make sure we got this correct.
No, we discussed this before, Akhi. In the lecture, Can I Celebrate This?, which the sister mentioned, I dealt with all these issues. You cannot say Merry Christmas, not even if an alien came and he told you, you cannot even say to him and say he's just an alien, I'm never going to see him again, he's not going to tell anyone. No Merry Christmas, not from a Muslim, not from a non-Muslim. It's not part of our deen, period. It's the concept that God was born on the 25th of December. That's as shirk and kufr as you can get. And you saying Merry Christmas, saying congratulations on your false religion, congratulations on your false understanding of life, you are congratulating them on the most evil of shirk and kufr. And as Ibn Qayyim said, this is worse than fornication and drinking alcohol and killing someone. Because you're approving of the biggest crime ever committed by the children of Adam, shirk. And you're saying to someone, no problem, Merry Christmas to you. That's what you're saying.
So, according to our friend here, if you ever have the choice between brutally murdering someone or wishing him Merry Christmas, you're better off brutally murdering him. You'd be better off brutally murdering him than saying Merry Christmas. It's not according to us. So notice here, because again, I don't really care whether people, say Merry Christmas. Don't really care. But the idea is, think about these different Muslim speakers. Shabir Ali, he's actually telling people, hey, it's okay to wish people Merry Christmas. And here you have a very, very popular Muslim on YouTube saying, no, if you say Merry Christmas, that's actually worse than killing people. And so Shabir would be regarded as someone who's telling his followers and telling Muslims to go out and do something that is worse than going on a killing spree. And wow. And then so you'd have to regard Yasser Qadi as a compromiser for saying, well, it's up to you. This guy said, no, it's not up to you. It's worse than murdering people. It's worse than fornication. It's worse than murder.
It is.
Yeah. So, all right. What are your thoughts on this, AP?
It is terrible. I mean, of course, the notion that saying Merry Christmas was like celebrating blasphemy, which is worse than killing and all those things, is completely, if you think about it, in accordance with Islamic teachings and Islamic scripture, because in Islamic scripture that is the sin that you are not supposed to commit, and by celebrating Christmas, you would be approving of blasphemy, which would push you out of the religion, while murder would not eliminate you as a Muslim. So his explanation does make sense in Islamic in an Islamic frame, which is why you should stay away from Islam.
Yeah.
It's terrible, but I'm more just caught by the by the false logic that he brings forth in order to explain that this is blasphemy, which is a typical Islamic misunderstanding of Christianity and the Christian perspective on Jesus. I'm not a Christian, but I've studied quite a great deal, and meanwhile understand that Islam has a very ignorant and weird view on how Christians actually view Jesus and his divinity. And that ignorance doesn't come from Muslims. That ignorance directly comes from the Quran. The Quran makes this weird assertion, which is like that Christians call Jesus God, and they call Jesus the Son of God, and they think that Mary was also a goddess, which no Christian thinks, by the way, where the Quran is completely wrong. And the Quran's reasoning is that they both used to eat food, which means they cannot be gods. The Quran makes this interesting reasoning, and you hear this very often from Muslims who come and say, how can you believe that Jesus was God when he would eat food and he would go poop and stuff like that? You know, they say things like these. They say things like that and think they're making a great point, when Christians don't believe that. Christians don't believe that. I mean, you know better. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the belief is not that God was born and God was walking around and was God had specific needs and all that stuff. The belief is that God assumed a human nature in order to fulfill the role that needed to be fulfilled, which is God taking a human body, a human flesh, and then sacrificing the Son of God for the sins of humankind. So in that sense, it is not God that is who is born and who depends on things and who has needs. It is the human part of God that God assumes that has human needs, and that is also completely normal and completely in accordance with Christian teachings, because Jesus as a human must be as human as possible, which is why Christian scholars from the very beginnings rejected absurd claims, absurd teachings about Jesus. They rejected these early gospels as apocrypha that asserted things such as that Jesus would speak when he was a baby, because that makes Jesus that makes Jesus less human, and the belief is that Jesus was more human in his life on earth. So yeah, I don't know if I've been able to properly follow this through, or if it makes sense, everybody. But yeah, the issue is that Muslims have a completely false understanding of how Christians actually view Jesus, and the nature of and the dual nature of God and human.
Yeah, when it's interesting because they do have parallels in their own theology, which if we take their criticism seriously, we'd have to reject their theology as well. Before I mention that, quick shout out to those in the super chat there, because we have Mrs. Apostate up there.
Oh,
and
hey.
it's just several people saying Merry Christmas. So we have Mrs. Apostate there saying Merry Christmas, and Jack Ray saying Merry Christmas. And click on Cheryl R's, because there's, I don't know why, I just find it funny that she says Merry Christmas and she has Muhammad in his emoji saying looking at a cake, and I don't know why I find stuff like that funny. And all right. So anyway, I was pointing out that so you have this guy saying, that saying Merry Christmas is worse than murder. And why is that? Well, because you're affirming that God was born, and this would be, well, I've already pointed out that if you have a problem with God taking on human flesh and appearing or something like that, then you should also have a problem with Allah entering a fire, right? You should have a problem with that if he's not going to do that sort of thing. You should have all kinds of problems with things in the Muslim sources which talk about Allah's body, right? If Allah, has a body, then and you're so obsessed with the God of Christianity entering creation and taking on a body, then you got some problems there. Third, I would say, I think the Christian view is God can kind of do what he wants, right? In other words, even apart from the incarnation, if God wants to just appear and eat a sandwich, he could do it. No Christian would say he needs to do it. We're saying if he wanted to, he could do it, right? God could do that. God could put himself into a form, eat a sandwich. He could do that. He has the power, ladies and gentlemen. He has the power to do that. Obviously, a Muslim would say Allah has the power to do that. Obviously, a Muslim would say Allah has the power to enter creation. The real view is two things. One, that it would somehow be degrading to God to do that. But two, they don't believe in a God who loves them enough to do that, right?
Oh yeah.
The God of Islam just isn't very loving. So yeah, so those are some of the issues. But apart from that, there is an interesting parallel, which I've talked about before. But you take something like the Quran, right? You take something like the Quran. If you ask a Muslim, what is the eternal word of Allah? Tell me about it, right? So it's Allah's eternal speech. It has no beginning. It's always with Allah. It can't be corrupted. It can't be changed. And you say, okay, so you've got the eternal word. It can't be corrupted. It can't be changed. I have a problem. There are people who have burned Qurans, right? There are videos online of people burning Qurans.
Yeah.
How can you burn Allah's eternal word, which can't be changed or corrupted? Obviously, if you're burning it, you're destroying it. It can't be destroyed. How can something eternal be destroyed? You see the problem here, everyone?
Yep.
So you would ask your Muslim friend, hey, how, this book had a beginning. Wait a minute. You're saying the Quran is eternal, but I happen to know, right here, I know exactly when this book came into existence. This book came into existence. You're lying. You said to me that Allah's word is eternal, that the Quran is eternal. What are you talking about? This book had a beginning, so it has a beginning. It has a birth, if you will. It has a beginning and will eventually fall apart. It's made of paper and glue and ink. What do you mean? I can't figure out what you're talking about here. The correct response from the perspective of Islamic theology is that the Quran has two natures. The Quran has two natures according to Islamic theology. The eternal nature of the Quran doesn't have a beginning, doesn't have an end, can't be changed, can't be corrupted, can't be destroyed. It enters our world as a physical Quran because we're in a physical world, and so it has to be put into physical form. And because it enters our world in a physical form, it now has a dual nature that because it has a physical nature in addition to its eternal nature, because it has a physical nature, now it can come into existence on a certain day with its physical nature. It can be destroyed. It will eventually fall apart. You could burn it, right? So because the eternal Quran took on a physical nature, now has a dual nature, all sorts of things can be true of this that would not have been true simply of the eternal Quran by itself before what you might call the incarnation, right? So
Yep.
if Muslims want to say no, it's just completely irrational, illogical, and if you're saying incarnation, then you got all these problems, and you're basically believing that God Himself was born or something like that. Guys, if you ever decide to be consistent, you have to throw out Islamic theology, because you got a parallel. You have a similar issue. All right. Wait. Up here we have Chris K here. Chris K said, David, I just want to say that your How I Became a Christian video is the video that led to me being saved. You had verse Ezekiel 36:26 in it, and that's the verse the Lord used to change my life. You see that, Apostate Prophet? You see that? Lives being changed.
Yeah.
Lives being changed. Where are you at?
I don't want to employ any atheist propaganda right now, because we are on your channel.
And you would get crushed. No. Keep in mind. Tons of lives are changing on your channel, as well as people are leaving Islam like it is an Olympic sport over there. And keep in mind, everyone, we are just getting started. We're just getting started over here. You have any idea what we got coming up in? Is Sam Shimon here? I'm sitting here trying to go on a rant. You have any idea what we got coming up in 2020, ladies and gentlemen? It's going to get bigger. Keep in mind, AP hasn't even been doing this that long, right? How long you been doing this? Like, has it even been 2 years yet?
It has just been 2 years.
I started
2 years. I started this December 2017. Yeah.
Just been 2 years. Imagine 2 years from now. 2 years from now, we're going to have multiple million-plus subscriber channels wreaking havoc on people who want to destroy us. And speaking of people who want to destroy everyone around them, Sam Shamoon is here. Sam Shamoon is here. This is a guy who makes the worst live streams anyone has ever seen, and it's so bad that he just gives up and comes over and starts harassing people here. If you go to his live streams, the entire live stream consists of him blocking everyone, and then there's no one left. But some people feel bad for him. They feel bad for him because his head is like a giant pumpkin. So they'll go and watch him just, because they feel sad for him, and they don't want to feel like, hey, I got 0 people on my live stream. So they'll show up, but then he just bans them all for anything they say. And it's like the most pathetic thing I've ever seen in my life. So then he comes over here and starts talking trash to make him feel better. What kind of person needs to put another man down just to make himself feel better? Huh? Anyone? Any idea? All right. Well, we are.
And then even during his own live chats, he says stuff like, "Look at Apostate Prophet and David Wood. They have a lot of subscribers. I don't have that many. So please let's get it going." And then he comes here and says, "Oh, you guys are boring. I have no idea why you have subscribers." This is all that the work that he is doing consists of. I don't understand this.
Sam's like, you guys are doing it all wrong. You suck with all your tons and tons and tons of subscribers. I'm the one who knows how to do it over on my channel, where I just moan and wail all day and cry and insult everyone and block everyone. And I can't figure it out. Could you guys send me some subscribers? Wow, that's a winner right there, Sam, the winner Shamoon.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us. It is what is the date?
December 20.
It's December 20th. I'll be putting out, Lord willing, a video about Bart Ehrman and Christmas tomorrow. Then a special Star Trek video where they actually made an important point about Christianity. I think I'll do that on Sunday. Other than that, I'll probably try and go live again once or twice before Christmas gets here. Thank you all for joining in. Shout out to everyone. Shout out to all the Boom Squad who are there. The faces do crack me up, even though I'm the one who had them, who had someone make them. But they do crack me up over there. People who are in the Boom Squad who signed up like almost a month ago, because it'll be a month at the end of this month. I did not think it was going to go a month, but I think your badge is going to change from Moomin Rider to to Genos, which should be cool because then I'll be seeing Genos faces everywhere. The Apostate Prophet, by the way, is going to be getting channel membership. So again, it's a good way to protect the channels. So YouTube wants to make sure it's making money and that it can block people for not making money for YouTube. Let's make sure that they can't use that against us. All right, so shout out to everyone. Thank you all for joining us. We'll see you again very soon.
I want to say a few more words.
If you can think of any words to share here at the end, you have the opportunity, sir.
Oh, I'll come to that too soon. I just want to say a few important things, which is there is one person in the comment section with the username Great, Great, who has posted here at least 30, 35 times the same question.
Oh yeah?
And I haven't responded to it. He said, AP, when will you launch your Turkish channel? I can't see the comment right now, but I just want to respond to that because I've seen it so often, and I don't want to ignore it. I didn't find the time yet for that, but I'm going to make it quite soon, I believe. The thing with me is that I have had so many plans in this year, and I just didn't realize how many plans I've made and how the number of plans that I've made is humanly not possible. It's not possible for a human to fulfill. I wanted to make something that includes music. I wanted to make a different channel about philosophy. I wanted to make a channel about I wanted to make a Turkish channel, a German channel. I wanted to keep writing my book and all that stuff. I don't know what I'm going to do eventually, but I want to soon make a Turkish channel, and the first video on that would be probably just a call to leave Islam, in which I tell Turkish people how their Islamic imams are lying to them and what Islam really is. Another thing is, some people pointed it out, I have a debate with Nader Ahmed on December 22nd on the scientific mistakes in the Quran. That will be on Aaron Ra's channel. Aaron Ra will host and moderate the debate between Nader Ahmed and me. It will be on the scientific mistakes. Should be quite interesting. Greetings to the Illuminati. I hope they noticed my signs that I've made throughout this live chat. I also want to say that. Oh yeah, and don't forget the hadith of the day. Today's important hadith of the day to all those who have missed it. Note this, write this down. We should make hadiths of the day quite often in the future. The hadith of the day is: Muhammad bought a horse and sat on its saddle before he jumped up and down and said, "Cheese with holes tastes like socks." This was after the night prayer. According to a different report, it was before the midday prayer. Again, he said, "Cheese with holes tastes like socks." This is the hadith of the day, and this is where I want to finish my part of the discussion. And I want to say thanks, everyone, and stay away from Islam.
All right, thanks, AP, for joining us. And yeah, I think we're done. We got a lot coming out. Oh, also a little side note. If you're talking about like German channel and Turkish channel, what's cool is you're blowing up. Eventually you'll have people helping you out. You know what I mean?
I should.
Yeah.
I should. I can't do this all by myself.
Yeah, like imagine you had like one or two people that you work with, and they help you out with the editing and stuff like that, and help you out with all the setup and stuff, so that you crank out a video. Then bam, you got your German buddy, and he immediately translates it. Translates everything, and then your Turkish buddy, he translates everything, so you can just bam re-record those, and you've recorded them, and then they edit those videos for the Turkish and German channels, and killing it, man.
In fact, everybody, if anyone wants to come out and help me in quickly editing videos, if anyone is interested in that, it wouldn't be just voluntary work. It would also be paid. I would gladly like to share some of the the support, the financial support that people give, in order to spread this whole thing even further, because that would boost the productivity, would put much more content out there, would bring much more support, would bring much much more attention. If anyone wants to do that, if anyone wants to help me edit these videos, I would gladly gladly make an open invitation here, and accept people who want to help me with that.
And
just to keep in mind.
That would be cool. And in the short term, might be good to at some point in the future find someone who you can meet with at some point and just like set aside like a week and just take a bunch of your favorite videos and then get those done, and you can release them over time, and then eventually you got someone that you work with regularly. Well, it's cool. So technology is so cool. You can be transferring files left and right. So anyway, point is, big stuff coming up in 2020, ladies and gentlemen. Big stuff.
Yeah.
Watch what
David
happens.
would also told me that he wants to hire someone to help him with his videos, and for each video he wants to pay $1,200. For each video, $1,200.
That's for a short video. If it was a longer video, it'd be much more.
Yes.
And by the way, he's joking, everyone, before everyone starts sending me stuff. I'll take that, David.
Yeah.
All right, catch y'all later. See you next time, and God bless everyone.
Stay away from Islam. And cheese with socks.